Okay, so how's everyone doing today? Good?
Good. Remember, we need to state our names.
Yep. Taylor McMillan.
Laura Espinoza.
Is Nicole there, or is she gone? Well, Jessica Mendoza Figueroa is here. That's me.
Nicole, are you here?
It says she left the chat group, so I don't know.
Okay, well, let's just start. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so we just go over the questions then, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'll read the first one. Okay, what threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention? How has Babylon influenced the development of the threat to children and families that you have chosen to address? I'll go first. So I was thinking a lot about how in one of his in Elder Holland's, I guess, examples, his third example, that I actually started crying when I read it. It was talking about the 5 children sleeping on the floor, and I was thinking about how sad the world is that there are people out there that don't have like a strong love for their children. I don't know how many of you are moms, and I think at least 2 of you are, but I couldn't even imagine not putting my own needs above my child. And I think that when it is corresponding with Babylon, though they were just so wicked. I mean, that's really what it is. And they didn't care, as well as they also didn't care about children, and they just cared about really being really sacrilegious. And I don't know how they actually coincide with one another, but I know that in some ways the children. I remember the story being like the men would like ignore run away from the children and let the children and wives be hurt, and it's just like it's so sad, like when they went to battle. And so yeah, anyway, someone else can go now.
I think you summed it up pretty well. I was going to mention the same thing, like that. It just made me so sad that those parents were neglecting their children like that. And I think that it was a blessing, probably, that the police were there. Hopefully, they were able to help them, and that's what we have to be willing to do, is look for those opportunities, maybe listen to the Spirit where we can be guided to those people that do need help.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to talk about, I think incident number 1 that he talked about. I like the third one, but since you guys both talked about it, I won't talk about that one. But I think in the example of number 1, I think, I don't know, it goes to show that we shouldn't judge people, I think. Obviously this young man had talent, and he came back to his hometown, and people didn't like him, and I don't know, that one just kind of really struck me, because sometimes we don't know what's going on in people's lives. And this guy was a return missionary, newlywed, he paid his tithing, all that kind of stuff. Like, he was a good person, but he just came back to an atmosphere that wasn't good for him. So in that sense, I don't know, I'm just one who you know, people who are judgy, it's hard to get along with, and I don't think it's respectful for anyone to judge that way.
I agree. When I was reading the first one, I really, it hit me that, you know, now in the world there's so many people that are striving for. I had a friend in high school, and they played sports, and their parents wouldn't let them play on Sunday, and so they ended up not being able to play on the varsity team and going to play for like the championships because it was on a Sunday. And I just think that when you have those kind of standards, that it helps too. And I don't know if that one guy did, but he made it seem like he was putting his game before everybody else, and he was letting his game affect his family life. And I don't think that's very fair. It's not anything that he's going to take with him to the kingdom of God. It's something that's, you know, just here on this earth. And when you let your pride take front of everything else, then it kind of affects not only you, but your family and your children. And if that type of characteristic passed down to your children because they don't know any better, then it's going to have a hard time down the road.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you just said it very well.
Should we move on to question 2?
Yep. Why don't you read it?
Okay, I'm going to post it on the side just so it's there in case we get sidetracked. It is, how does Elder Holland's description of Babylon and Israel coincide with defending the doctrine of the family in these latter days?
I wasn't quite sure how to answer this question, but for the most part, I was thinking that because there are so many negative things happening in the world right now, it gives us an even greater responsibility to stand up and build Israel wherever we are.
I think you said that perfectly, Nicole. I didn't know how to word it either, but you nailed it. So.
I think along with that one right there, I think if you go to the part in his talk where it talks about checking your religion at the door, I think that part really sticks out. That, you know, I guess you shouldn't just live the rules, or I guess not rules, but live the gospel on Sundays, and, you know, check yourself at the door whenever you go somewhere or whatever. And I just really like that part of his little talk.
I like that too. I actually like. Hold on, Trey. Sorry. Yes, Trey. Hold on. Let me copy and paste this. This quote that I found that I felt fell under this. He said, it's what you're talking about, check religion at the door. It says, as the prophet Alma has taught the young women of the church to declare every week in their young women's theme, we are to stand as witnesses of God at all times and in all things and in all places, that ye may be in. Not of the same, not just some of the time, in all places. And I think that's big because, you know, it's so easy to stand tall at church, you know. It's so, and when we're around those people that know our standards at Mutual, we're like so strong. But I know, like, even in high school, when I was in high school, and when I was around some of my friends, sometimes it was harder to stand tall because I was worried about what other people would think, or I was worried about what their reaction would be. And so it's just, I really like that. It also reminded me of the 2008 Young Women's theme, or Mutual theme. It was be steadfast and immovable, always abounding in good works. And that's also what it reminded me of, that they knew long ago that we would have a hard time. They knew that we would be attacked and that the family would be attacked. And so that's why we have that guidance now, and it's coming back to us so that we can remember that they knew this was going to happen, and we were chosen. We said we could stand up and fight this fight, so we should prove that we can.
Awesome. Want to go to the next question?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay, what characteristics and attributes did Elder Holland expound on that will make us more effective family advocates? I'll just go first on this one. So actually, my husband and I, we're planning on being foster parents and to newborn children. And initially, we were planning on doing it a lot longer down the road because I didn't think I could handle it emotionally when I had little children. And anyways, when I was reading his talk on the third example again, he made the comment that the mom is still a daughter of God, and we should be rooting for her still, basically. And when I was thinking, and I don't know how many of you know about foster care, but I was thinking about how in the foster care system, you're a foster parent because a parent is not fit to be a parent for a little bit. And they have 1 year to change. Well, and then they can have their child back if they can. And if they don't fit change in a year, then you can adopt them. Well, I was thinking that it would be so hard for me to have that child for a year because I'd be so angry at that parent. But then when I was reading that, I realized I should be rooting for those people. We should be rooting for the people that are struggling in our lives rather than judging them. And I realized that I was judging them, and I wasn't rooting for the fact that they should have their children back, even though they were making these awful mistakes. And that's really judgmental of me. But yeah, so that was mine.
I had a friend who was in foster care not from when she was an infant, but when she was in 5th grade. She was in and out of tons and tons of foster cares, and her mom would change and she would get back. And it was really hard because I had the same type of feelings. I was really mad at her mom, and that she put her through horrible, horrible things. And it was tough. And then when we were in 8th grade, her mom, she kind of didn't really care for her mom either, so when she had to go home, she was kind of bummed out. She wanted to stay with an LDS family, which was our 3rd and 5th grade teacher. But that was a side story, sorry. They found out her mom was sick with cancer, and she ended up dying 3 months later. And it was really hard on us because we felt like we didn't give her a good enough chance. She grew up in the same lifestyle that she was giving her daughter, even though it wasn't okay to be selling your daughter away to men, at a very young age. She knew better, but I think at some point she didn't know what else to do, and she needed that extra help. But we all had a really hard time with it because Stephanie was really sad and felt like she didn't help her mom enough. She kind of just left her mom alone, and she felt like if she was able to talk to her and tell her, no, this is not okay, and I still love you no matter what, that it would have been easier on her mom. So that was a really hard process. So I love that you brought that up, Taylor. And foster care is a really hard thing. I know my aunts have done it too, and I've thought the same way. And that's one reason why I was like, I don't know if I can do it because of how attached we get to the babies. But I think we just have to think of the moms. Like, we're helping the moms be able to prepare for that baby, and rather than that baby being in someone else's arms, they're in our arms. So thanks for sharing that too.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. That was really great. I also liked how he talked about showing compassion. I just wanted to read a little bit. It says, he says, I have to make sure that I don't end up doing exactly what I was accusing this young fan of doing, getting mad, acting stupid, losing my cool, ranting about it, wanting to get my hands on him, preferably around his throat, until before I knew it, I have checked my religion at the door. It is easy to be righteous when things are calm and life is good and everything is going smoothly. The test is when there is real trial or temptation, when there is pressure and fatigue, anger and fear, or possibility of real transgression. Can we be faithful then? I really loved this because, if we want to be effective advocates, we do have to stay calm and we have to be patient. I think so often someone will do something and we just want to get so angry, why are you doing this? That's not the right thing. Maybe they don't know the truth. We just have to come and present our doctrine, that we have to present the truth in a calm understanding with the Spirit in that sort of manner, so it comes across better.
Are there any other comments? Okay. Let's do the next question. According to what you have learned from Elder Holland's talk, what obligation, of any, do you have in a scenario like the one in the video below? And honestly, I'm sure I have an obligation, but I don't know if I could have done it. So I'll let you guys take the wheel on this one.
After reading this, actually, when it was talking about I felt my obligation was to really cut down on electronic use. And when I was reading it, near the end of it, it was talking about how there was a little kid, we see those things on YouTube or Facebook all the time where the mom's on the phone or the dad's on the phone and the little kid is like, Mom, look. And they're like, okay, I see, but they're really not looking. And I'm so guilty of that, and I'm ashamed of it. There's times where I need to finish a text or something, or I'm on a phone call, and my little 3-year-old is like, Mom, look at me. And I look at him for a second, and then I look away. And it really hit me hard when we were reading that, because he said, let me see if I can find see if I put it in my little slide thing. No, I didn't. But he said something like, the electronics are not here, or are here to serve us. We're not here to serve them. Meaning that we don't need to be on them every single second. They're here to serve us when we need them, not for our own, our own fun time or whatever. And it just really hit me hard and kind of got me teary-eyed about it, because so much is missed. I think about the times when I'm on my phone and then one of my boys falls down and they're crying, and I'm like, what happened? And I'm frustrated and freaking out. Well, it's my own fault that I was looking. Granted, sometimes if there's something super important on my phone, but there are times that, I'm just watching a YouTube video or checking up on Facebook or catching up on my shows or whatever, that I shouldn't be doing that. So I was talking to my husband about it, and we decided that we were going to have our phones put away unless we had to reply to a text or something, that we weren't going to watch TV on our phones anymore, so we deleted those Hulu and Netflix off our phones and stuff like that, just because we have a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old little boys, and they're super active, and I've noticed when we're not paying attention to them, they get worse. Their attitudes break out. So that's the one thing that I felt like I had an obligation to do, is to really, and help others understand that too, that it's not okay to be on your phones all the time, because a lot is missed, and no one wants a child to grow up thinking, or being on their phone all the time and not knowing any different. Eventually, if we're on our phones all the time and our kids see us on our phones all the time, in 3 generations, there's going to be no communication left between parents and children, and it's going to be really sad. Anyway, sorry I was talking too much, but that's what I got from it.
I actually was not, I guess it wasn't really a similar situation, but the place that I worked at while I was living at home, I worked at the flower shop, and my boss, he was married, and one day he told me that he was getting a divorce and that he was moving in with his boyfriend, and it was so hard. It was so hard for me to not necessarily accept, it was just hard for me to just be like, really? You really want to do this? Like, this is really what you want? I just told him, I was like, he has served a mission. He has been active all of his life, and I just told him that he was like, you know what? Just remember that you are a child of God, and that with the atonement you can overcome anything. Just saying that much was so hard. But I do feel like we have a testimony, and we do have the knowledge of the gospel, that sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone and share a small part of our testimony, just stand up for what we know is right, even though it's so hard. I was so proud of the people in the video that were able to tell the man, just love him, do the best you can. it's so hard, it's scary, but it's what we got to do sometimes.
So yeah, you're gonna think my family's crazy, but so my aunt on my dad's side, my aunt and uncle are both gay, and my aunt came out forever ago, but my uncle, he was married, had kids, and then he came out and said he was gay, and my aunt actually ended up acting upon it, but my uncle didn't act upon it, and he's been seeing his bishop trying to like fix everything. And he's like, his wife hasn't left him or anything. He still has like kids, and I mean, he still lives with them. It's pretty cool how that's worked out. And he's actually saying he's feeling better about things, but I can't believe that his wife didn't even consider leaving him. And I think that that is awesome. I mean, the fact that she could see past that temptation, because in reality, if we look at it as, I mean, it's hard to say this, but it is a temptation. And people have their different temptations, whether it's drinking or sex or homosexuality. It is a temptation. And whether you act upon it or not, it is a decision, I feel like. And I'm just, that in our family, we've learned, with my aunt, we've learned that we just have to love her. We don't have to support every decision, but we love her, and she is the kindest person that I know. And so it made me think a lot about that in the video. So
I thought that that was really cool as well. And I have so much. I've read the stories. You know, I thought it was awesome that there's a program that they can go to help fight those. You know, because that's the people like your uncle. He's the type of person that's going to be okay because he has the faith and he wants to get it fixed. He doesn't act upon those because he knows it's not right, or maybe he's, you know, figured out that, wait, this isn't right. I have so much respect for those people, and I've read those stories before, you know, in the magazines where there's guys that think that they have feelings for someone else, which it says, you know, can be possible. And but it's what you do with that. And I have a friend in high school who, she's not a member, but she was very sexually active with tons and tons of guys in high school, and it was disgusting. But anyways, and then she gets out of high school, and we graduated in 2010, and she now is with a girl, and she's just like, oh, I just want to try it out for fun. And that is what really affects me, because we've kind of lost contact since then, but it just makes me so mad that people think it's just like a fun thing to do. And I was talking to my dad about it last night, and it makes me nervous for when my boys go to school with what's going on, you know. Is it going to seem normal to be in a same-sex relationship? And the pressure, because there's so many people, you know, coming out to do it just for fun, I think is what's really getting my brother last night. Was like, it's just the new fad, which is sad to say, but it kind of is, because there's so many people just doing it just to test it out, just to see, you know. So I think there really is a difference, and I have mad respect for those that are trying to get help and deal with it when they have families, because it really makes a difference. And sometimes they don't have help and you can still respect them, you don't have to agree with them. But it just really makes me happy to know that there are people who really have those feelings that are trying to fight them.
that's, Jessica, thank you so much for saying that. I have those discussions with my husband and my dad and my mom all the time. I can't even imagine. I'm so terrified for my children. It's ridiculous. But anyways, thank you.
I know I have 5 kids, and I have 4 of them that are in school, and it's amazing to me the things they come home with, that they hear, even living, you know, I live here in Rexburg in the LDS community, but it's still amazing to me the things the kids come home from school saying, or things they heard. And yeah, it's a scary world, it really is. And I was talking to a friend about this, and her husband struggled with addiction, and I just put a little plug in there. I know the LDS Church has a 12-step program that they've gone to locally that's really helped with any kind of addiction, and his isn't a sexual one. His is more, you know, an alcohol one, but The LDS Church has a 12-step program that, you know, people can go to and try, and it may work for some and it may not, but it's just a great resource to know is out there, and it's all based around the Book of Mormon, so it's kind of an amazing program just to hear from her, you know, things that are going on. And I mean, it deals with any kind of addiction, you know, sexuality, drugs, alcohol, gambling, I mean, anything like that. But I just, you know, in this story, I think I would have a hard time being someone who stood up for it as well, but I know that we need to in the world that we're living in, and we just need to be able to teach our children what we believe in, not what the world is starting to believe in.
Any other thoughts on that before we move to the next one?
That one.
Alright, I'll post the next question on the side. Says if you were a customer, Trey, stop. Says if you were a customer at this restaurant and observed this father-son example, what principles or attributes did Elder Holland teach that should guide your response?
Well, Elder Holland mentioned a story about a basketball player, you know, that that had to leave his hometown and went back to Utah to play on the opposing team, and there was the behavior of those that attended the game, you know, was very poor. So I think that he's trying to tell us that at any time, we can't just leave our religion at home, you know, we need to bring it with us. And so we need to show Christ-like attributes in all our actions at all times. So I don't know if that helps, I don't know.
I think that's good. I think that the one thing that I got from it, he mentioned a lot about judging. You know, it's not okay to judge. When he was talking about the girl, an example, I think it was 2, that walked in with an immodest skirt and a short shirt or whatever, that he didn't know what was wrong. He didn't know, you know, maybe she was a convert, maybe she hadn't been baptized yet, and she just had the feeling to get there and to learn. Either way, we need to not judge people. That's really what affects it. My husband, he's a convert to the church, and he's like 6'5", like 300 pounds, and he's an ex-gang member, and I can tell you, I judged him the first time I saw him. He freaked me out. And in time, he, you know, was asking my friend and I about church, and we were telling him the young women's thing, and it was a really big joke. But he just showed up at church one day, and everyone judged him, you know. They were wondering what he was doing there, and he had gang tattoos all over the place. But he was baptized 5 months later, and so we can't judge people because we never know. And learning from his story has really helped me to realize that we can't judge people. Sorry, I got a little kid on my lap.
I thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing your story. That's awesome. Along with your story, I just think overall we're all children of Heavenly Father, and we should just, and keeping that in mind, we need to realize that we just need to love everyone and not judge, even though that's sometimes a lot harder said than done. So thank you.
I think one of my favorite parts of his talk was when the section on live your life to reflect your love of Jesus Christ. And in there he talks about, you know, you hear the word missionary and most people automatically think of white shirts and name tags. And I just like how he points out, to not limit yourself on that, to stay with the big picture that you as a member of the church can be a missionary at all times and in all places, and to not lose sight of that or forget that. So that, you know, when you come across a situation and maybe someone's, you know, saying something bad, or you come across a situation like the dad and son in the restaurant, you can be able to stand up for your, you know, beliefs and share something in gospel text
I do think that not judging is a big part of it, and yet do sharing something about the way we feel in a respectful manner, it's gonna make a huge difference, because we might be right on what we're saying the other person to do, but the way we say it's what's gonna have an effect on that person, on whether that person will be willing to humble himself or herself and listen, or to retaliate. So we just want, when we have something to say, we just want it to be in love and charity and kindness, rather than, you shouldn't be doing this, like I do with my kids, So.
I think what you all said is wonderful, and I agree with it all. I think like everything we can apply, like not judging and showing compassion and never checking our religion at the door. I think most importantly, we have to live our life to reflect our Savior. We have to remember that, or strive to have His name written on our heart, and everything that we do needs to reflect what our Savior would do, and just be an example of Him and love people like He would love them.
Any other comments? Awesome. Would someone like to do the summary today? I can do it. That's fine. And does anyone else have anything they want to add before we close?
No, I don't think so. I think before we end, or we can do the summary and then we can move on. I think we should sign up or schedule someone to be able to do the summary. So it's not like one person the entire time, So we can, whoever does the summary can be keeping notes or little bullets going on. So if next week I can do the summary and the following week or whatever, so we can have some type of schedule so we know what's going on.
Jessica, I'll do it the next week.
Okay, and we can just decide the week before too, and that's fine. So I'll just do it this week, and that sounds good. Okay, I guess I'll have to figure out what the summary is. Okay, in conclusion for this week, we talked about how the family is being impacted in so many different ways, whether it's through the parents in gay marriage or people not respecting the family. And we talked about how Satan is just attacking the family constantly, and how all we can do is work hard in trying to be more Christ-like and loving other people and loving their Christ-like attributes, even though we don't understand them, and judging other people. We need to work on that. And that pretty much sums it up. It was a good talk. So
I think that's fantastic.
awesome. Well, you guys have a great week. And do you want to do same time next week?
Yeah,
Yep,
that'd be
this
great.
time
Thank
works
you.
perfect.
Yep, same with me.
Okay, sounds good. Have
All
a
right.
great day, you guys.
Thank you.